Hi, I'm Mrs. Vanaman. I'm the freshman and sophomore counselor here at Claremore High School, and I am going to go over with you the information that was presented at our last Zap enrollment meeting, which was held on Wednesday, March 3rd. So let me get the PowerPoint pulled up here. So this Zap meeting was all about choosing your electives. If you remember the last time we met, we chose your core classes. So you should have a pre-enrollment form like this that is already filled out with your core selections. Most of you will have 5 lines filled out for your core classes. So just to kind of recap on that, you will have 1 line that says Oklahoma History Geography. That is the freshman history requirement, and everybody's required to take that, and there is no honors or pre-AP option for that. You will have a line that has your English requirement, which is English 1 or pre-AP English 1. For your science requirement, if you are currently in physical science, you will have a line that says pre-AP biology. If you are currently in 8th grade science, you will have a line that says either physical science or honors physical science if you are opting to do the honors level on that. And then for your math requirement, if you are currently in pre-algebra, your math requirement takes up 2 lines. So algebra 1 takes up 2 lines. You're going to put beginning algebra 1 on line 4 probably, and then intermediate algebra 1 on line 5. Because remember, algebra 1 is the exception to the block class. Our students that are in algebra 1 as a freshman take both beginning algebra 1 and intermediate algebra 1. If you are currently in algebra 1 as an 8th grader, you have the option of taking geometry or algebra 2. And if you're in algebra 1 right now, you probably should be taking the honors level of 1 or both of those. And you have the option of taking both of those. With the block scheduling, you can take 1 in the fall, 1 in the spring. So if you're going to take both algebra 2 and geometry, you will also have 5 lines filled out. They each go on a separate line, so they take up 2 lines. If you're only going to take one of those, then you would only have 1 line filled out. So most of you will have 3 spaces left for your elective choices. Some of you may have 4 spaces left for your elective choices if you're only taking either geometry or algebra 2 and not both of those. So when you are writing down what electives you want to take, it is really important that you are picking classes that you really want to take. We also, let me back up here so you can see, we're going to have you write down an alternative class. So you can see on this form, there's the class name, and then off to the right, it says alternative. So for your electives, we want you to select another class that you would want to take in place of that class should there be a conflict or some reason that the first class that you selected does not fit into your schedule. What class do you want to take in place of it if that occurs? Do not just write down classes and just think that we're going to be able to go ahead and go back and change it later. Please make sure that you're really writing down stuff that you want to take. We kind of went over this last time, but just to go over it a little bit again, the master schedule here at the high school is based on the course requests that we get. So we know, for example, how many Art 1 classes we need to have here at the high school based on how many students request Art 1 on their course request. If you put Art 1 down and then decide you're going to come in later and not take Art 1, what ends up happening is we have classes that are too full because we have students in them that didn't put it down as a course request, but then decided that their friend was in there or they just wanted to take something different than what they wrote down. And so we have classes that have too many students in them. And then we have some classes that don't have very many students in them at all because students wrote that class down as a course request, but then decided, oh, I don't really want to do that. So that's really why we will not make schedule changes once the final schedules are run. So you need to really make sure that what you're writing down are classes that you really want to take, as well as with the alternatives. Because as I said, if something happens in your schedule that a class doesn't fit with your other classes, then we're going to look at what you put down as an alternative for that class, and that's the class we're going to try to put into your schedule. So the only reason that we will change a schedule is listed on the bottom of that pre-enrollment form, and that is to make up a class that you failed, to fix a computer error. The schedules are computer generated, and the computer doesn't always know what prerequisites are required for a certain class, and so sometimes they don't print in the correct order with the prerequisite first. Outside credit is earned, which really doesn't apply too much to freshmen, or if you lack a prerequisite. So if you put down a class that has a prerequisite and you haven't met that prerequisite, we'll change your schedule probably into the prerequisite for whatever class it was that you were wanting in. So this is an example of what a pre-enrollment form would look like completely filled out. You can see they've listed alternatives there for some of the classes. They actually listed alternative classes for some of their core classes, but the main thing you can see here is they wrote down that they wanted Spanish 1. If Spanish 1 for some reason didn't fit into their schedule, then they wanted French 1. So use the course description book for information about the classes and to check prerequisites for classes. So if you're not sure what a particular class is by the name of the class, look in the course description book, and it'll give you kind of a brief description of what that class is all about. It will also tell you if there's a prerequisite for that class and if it's a class that a ninth grader is able to take, because it'll tell you the grade level for the class. We did not print hard copies of the course description book this year. It is online, and you can access through the Claremore Public Schools, the mobile app, or you can access it through the website. On the mobile app, you're going to click on the right menu, Claremore High School, and then click Documents and Enrollment, and you'll see a link there for the course description book. On the website, you're going to make sure that you're in Claremore High School, go to Enrollment, and there's a link there also. And this is what it looks like. Let me see if I can pull it up here where you can see. Pull up the right tab. Okay, so this is what the course description book looks like when you pull it up. As you can see, there's the table of contents. So for example, if you're wanting a fine art, to see what fine art classes you can take, you're going to look in the table of contents. They're on pages 21 through 24. So you're going to go there to look. It has information about your grad plan choices. It has the salutatorian and valedictorian candidate policy in it, promotion policy, NCAA information, also has information on the 6 career fields. So with your OK Career Guide stuff, the interest inventories where it shows you what career fields your interests match with. We have icons next to all of the classes in the course description book that align with those career fields. So you can kind of know if the class that you're taking aligns with what your interest inventory said that you would be interested in. So let's get back to our PowerPoint here. Okay, so you have a form that has the freshman elective choices for next school year. This is a front and back form. It was handed out at the Zap meeting, but it also should be uploaded into your Zap Google Classroom so you can access it there as well. All of the electives on here are the freshman elective choices. Please do not put something down on your pre-enrollment form that is not listed on this form. There are other electives that we offer here at the high school, but some of them are for upperclassmen only and not available for freshmen. So again, make sure that what you're writing down is on this list or on this form. You can see next to some of the classes, there's an asterisk. And what that asterisk means is that that class has a prerequisite. So for example, there's an asterisk next to Spanish 2. Spanish 1 is the prerequisite for Spanish 2. So if there's an asterisk next to it, it means there's a class that you have to take before you can take that class. And all of that information is located in the course description book. So if you're curious, if you see a class on here that has, say, graphic design, it has an asterisk. Well, what class do I have to take before I can take graphic design? Go to your course description book, look at graphic design, and it'll tell you what the prerequisite is for that class. Of note here, and it's written on this, you cannot be enrolled in a PE class, so you can't take male fitness, female fitness in the same semester that you are in a sport. So if you're a football player, you can't, in the fall, you cannot take male fitness and football. For your sports, when you're writing them down on your pre-enrollment form, if you are in a winter sport, and winter sports are basketball and wrestling, those take up 2 of your lines because the season for those sports takes place during second and third block. So, and second block is in the fall semester, third block is in the spring semester. So I have an example here on the slide, and this shows you a student who's actually wanting to take a fall, winter, and spring sport and what it would look like for those. So football would be the sport that they would start out in because this football season happens before basketball season. So you're going to write down football/basketball because once football is over for second block, you're going to go to basketball. And then on the next line, you have basketball/track because basketball is still going on when we come back from Christmas break in January. And when basketball is over, they will go to track, which is a spring sport. If you're only in one sport, typically your coach is going to want you in off season of that sport. So if you're only going to play football at the high school, the coach is going to want you in off season football in the spring. So you're going to write down football on one line, and you're going to write down off-season football, which is actually called athletic conditioning, on another line. Another example would be if you're only going to play softball, you're going to write down softball on one line, and you're going to write down off-season softball on the other line. If you're in a fall and a spring sport, that's perfectly fine. But like I said, if you're only going to take one sport all year long, typically the coach is going to want you in off season of that sport if it's available. And most of our sports do have an off season. On the pre-enrollment form, we are going to have you enter your grad plan selection. So at the top of that form, there's some check boxes there where you can choose which grad plan you want to have. Just to recap that a little bit, there's 2 different college prep plans, a world language option and a computer technology option. In both options, your credit requirements for your core classes are the same. So in both options, you have to have the same number of math, English, social studies, science credits. In the world language option, you have to take 1 and 2 of a foreign language. And in the computer technology option, you have to take at least 2 computer classes. This is not set in stone. We have to have something in the system for you. So we want you to select something to begin with, but you can always change your mind. You can just come in and talk to us, and if you decide to switch it, and we'll get it switched for you. The standard diploma option, a parent has to sign a letter giving permission for that option. And really most of you, to begin with, should be in a college prep grad plan option. And just because you pick one doesn't mean you can't take classes in the others. For example, if you pick world language as your grad plan, doesn't mean you can't take computer classes. It's just what's required for graduation. Zap Conference Guidelines, as I stated, Zap conferences. So your enrollment meeting with your Zap advisor will be on March 25th. They're from 4 to 8 p.m. and you need to schedule an appointment if you haven't already done that. The meetings will be here at the high school in your Zap Advisors room. Room information is in My Conference Time, which is the website that you go to schedule the appointment. Or if you're not sure, reach out to your Zap Advisor. Your Zap Advisor should have invited you to their Zap Google Classroom so you can communicate with them through that Google Classroom, or you can send them an email directly. Student and parent are required to attend the Zap conferences. And we want to make sure that you have discussed your course selections with your parents prior to coming up to the conference. So take a pre-enrollment form, write down everything you think you want to take, talk it over with your parents, and bring that with you to the conference. Conferences are only 15 minutes, so it's not a huge amount of time. Of course, if you have questions, there is time, to be able to answer any questions and make sure we get everything all sorted out. But we want you to have pre-planned and had that discussion prior to coming up here so that we can kind of go over it, answer any questions, and get it signed off on. All students must attend a Zap conference, even if you're not planning to attend CHS next year. And the reason that we do this is because a lot of times students will say that they're moving, and if something happens that they don't end up moving, then your enrollment's already done and it's already completed, and there's nothing that you have to do in order to go ahead and come on to school next year. Also, we know it helps us with our class sizes. So we know that there's a certain amount of students that will do enrollment and that end up moving and not coming back to Claremore High School the following year. But we always have students that also move in to the high school to take the place of the ones that leave. So it really kind of helps us in planning our class sizes to have everybody go ahead and do that enrollment. Your enrollment packet, typically we give you a paper packet of information. There's usually 5 or 6 sheets of paper that parents have to fill out prior to the coming up for your enrollment night. This year, that enrollment stuff is going to be done online. So your parents will do that through the parent portal in Wingate. This is a district-wide thing. Everybody is doing it online this year. So there will be some communication go out from Claremore Public Schools by email, all calls, things will be posted on Facebook with instructions on how to complete this. This must be done prior to your appointment on March 25th. So if for some reason they can't get it done prior to that, they need to plan on spending some additional time up here at the high school, and we'll have some computers set up where they can sit down and get that completed, and people here to answer questions if they have questions about it. But try to get it done prior to coming up to that meeting. So the students who attended in person, we packed up an envelope with all of the handouts. So everything that we've gone over the past 3 meetings kind of went into the envelope to take home. Their pre-enrollment form, the CHS information form, promotion policy, grad plan choices, valedictorian, salutatorian policy, the core class selections, and the elective class selections. All of those things should, however, be posted in your Zap Advisor's Google Classroom for Zap. So you should be able to access any of these forms through that Zap Google Classroom. The envelope had a sheet of paper like this that had the time and location, which was the room number, and the Zap Advisor on it. There will also be postcards that will be mailed out. So before spring break, we are going to mail out postcards to all the parents that has the time and location and the Zap Advisor on it to confirm those appointments with the parents. In your Zap folder, we kept your teacher recommendation form, your transcript, and a copy of the pre-enrollment form that you had filled out. And that was it. So again, March 25th from 4 to 8 p.m. If you don't already have an appointment, please reach out to your Zap Advisor to get that scheduled. And that's it. If you have questions about your enrollment or you're not sure who your Zap Advisor is, feel free to contact me through email, or you can call me, 918-923-4211. My extension is 3009. Or you can contact one of the counselors at the junior high, and they would be happy to help you as well. I look forward to seeing you all on the 25th.